Hello, history scholars. Mrs. Olson here with a video lesson for you titled Origins of the Cold War. The learning target reads that you will be able to explain how growing tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union led to the Cold War. We're going to start off with two political cartoons. Before we get to that, make sure that you have a piece of paper ready to go and a writing utensil or word processing program to help you take notes. It is always good to take notes to help you remember important information. Okay, so here we go. This first political cartoon, we have two figures, which you are going to learn more about them. But these two figures represent world leaders, US and Soviet Union. And of course, with political cartoons, we're always wanting to make connections. So you've either learned about NATO and the Warsaw Pact, or you are going to learn even further about them. Okay, let's open it up with another political cartoon on this page that was done by David Horsey of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. And I'm just going to go over part of it with you. Make sure that when I'm done that you pause it so that you can look at more of the details and put more of those details together with a message. Okay, so we've got a tree house. Well, we've got trees on both sides of the cartoon, and then we also have tree houses with little boys that are representing world leaders of the United States and also the Soviet Union. The top left of this reads preliminary disarmament talks. So, making connections, you're going to learn about disarmament, which means that there has to be armament, right? Which is what these are representing. This reads nerve gas. These say USA. This also says nerve gas and the USSR, okay, written in Cyrillic letters. The text here reads, I can build anything you can build bigger. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Then I'll build more of them. Once again, connections to what we're talking about, the Cold War. This kind of sums up what the Cold War was all about. Here's a good spot to pause if you want to spend a little bit more time looking at the details of this political cartoon. Okay, so here we go on to the next slide. And this first slide with text is titled A Clash of Interests. The first note reads, the US and USSR became increasingly hostile towards each other after World War II. So if we take a step back and do a teeny bit of review, World War II ended in 1945 with the dropping of the atomic bombs on Japan. Okay, so 1945. It really is the very next year that these used to be allies, the US and USSR, are not any longer on each other's side. In fact, they are going to be fighting each other. Okay, so this clash of interests is going to be all about confrontation and competition. If there was a ranking system of world powers, the US and the Soviet Union, they're always vying for that #1 spot. And in fact, when one of the countries finds themselves in the #2 spot, they are doing whatever it is that they can to reach that #1 spot and beat the other one out. All right, so years, we always want to attach years in history to whatever it is that we're learning about. So they say that the Cold War started in 1946, and we'll figure out why. And then it ends in 1990 with a very specific event. Okay, so all of this is leading up to the Cold War. So we also have to remember that Russia was Russia in World War II, and then Russia turns communist, okay? So when Russia turns communist, we no longer refer to them as Russia. They are now called the Soviet Union, and this is how we translate those letters in our alphabet, so the USSR. Okay, so US versus the Soviet Union. This slide is titled Soviet Security Concerns. Okay, so the note reads, tensions increased because the US and the USSR had different goals, very different goals, in fact. Their motivations were similar, but their goals were different. All right, so we're going to turn the page back just a little bit and realize that in history, we always have to have context to understand what happened, right? So 30 years previous to this, let's think about World War I and World War II. Germany had invaded Russia 2 times in less than 30 years. Russia, the Soviet Union, doesn't want that to happen again. They want to make sure that if Germany becomes powerful again, they don't have the ability to invade their country, okay? So the Soviets want to keep Germany weak. Now, there are countries in between Germany and the USSR that were under Soviet control. We're going to look at a map here, okay? So all of this in red is under Soviet control. Okay, so here's really all of the Soviet Union. Now here's the Soviet bloc. These were the countries that were technically their own countries, but really the Soviet Union was controlling what they did. So those countries are Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and then of course after World War II, they had established an East Germany and a West Germany. Okay? If you like maps or if you want to study this a little bit more, pause here and then spend a little bit more time with the map. I wanted to reiterate the idea that there were countries in between Germany and the Soviet Union that were under Soviet control. Okay, and those are these right here. Okay, next slide. We're talking about Soviet security concerns dealing with Germany trying to invade Russia. Again, that's what their reasoning was for doing some of what they did. Okay, I included a political cartoon on this page. Russia or the USSR is often represented by a very large bear. Okay, it says USSR here at the top, and then we have all of these arrows. They're going to infiltrate, they're going to seep into the USA, Cuba, Western Europe, Africa. This one says Syria, the Gulf, as in the Persian Gulf, Afghanistan, Thailand, Vietnam, China. Okay, this is what they want to do, or what we think they want to do, and what we, as in America, doesn't want them to do. This note reads that the Soviets believed that communism was a superior economic system that would eventually replace capitalism. Okay? So Russia, Soviet Union, they are communist. USA, capitalists. The two systems do not meet up. They don't match. They don't see eye to eye. The note reads that communism should be encouraged in other nations. This is what the Soviets and the communists, what they wanted to do. This is what America did not want them to do. And they believed that capitalist countries would try to destroy communism. They were not incorrect. All right, new slide titled American Economic Concerns. American advisors believed the Depression had been overly severe because countries, they cut back on trade. So you have to go back a few months when we studied the Depression, and then also remember that in the Depression, there were nations, world leaders that decided that they would not be trying to trade with other countries because they didn't have enough goods. They were trying to feed the people in their own countries. It cost money to go overseas. And then also these different countries were putting tariffs or taxes on each other. And that made things a lot more expensive buying from other countries because of the taxes. When nations seal themselves off economically, it forces them to go to war to get resources. So all of this is what the American advisors to the president believed and what they told the president. Okay, so once again, we're providing context for what America believed, what the American president believed, and some of the reasons for their decisions. So FDR, who was president of the United States for a long time, FDR and his advisors were convinced that economic growth, so manufacturing items, selling those items, making money off of those items, it was the key to world peace. I'm going to go backwards just a second. Sorry. So, economic growth is the key to world peace. They believed that if countries were making money, that means that those countries had money. The people within those countries were relatively happy, right? Because they were making money. They had money in their pockets. They could put food on their families' tables. They could pay for the lights and clothe their families and do extra things, okay? If people are making money, this is the idea, not saying that it's totally true, but the idea is that if people are making money, hence this economic growth, they're generally a happy people, a happy nation. Okay, they believed that democratic governments with protections for people's rights also made countries more stable and more peaceful, okay? People's rights, being able to vote for the leaders, being able to have a say in what happens in the countries. That makes those countries more stable and peaceful. Okay, so here's that concept again. If a nation's people have jobs, that means that they're making money. They can afford a house. They can either buy a house and pay a mortgage or pay for rent. They can put food on their families' tables. They're generally a happy people, a happy nation that doesn't want to go to war because they don't have to, okay? And then, here's just a little thing that is modern. It's actually from 2019, happiest countries in the world. And the top ones are countries in the Northern Europe. Finland, Denmark, Norway, Iceland, the Netherlands. We don't see the United States on there, but that is a different story for a different day. And here we go with the next slide, which is titled Policy of Containment. All right, so I'm going to go backwards just a little bit before we talk about the policy of containment. There was something that was labeled the long telegram. There was a diplomat from the United States named George Kennan, and he was asked to explain Soviet goals. You could say that he was an expert on Russian diplomacy, okay? He said that Russia had a sense of insecurity, a fear of the West's, and that the communists were in a long-term struggle with capitalism. These are all things that we just talked about. I'm giving you what Kennan advised the president of. And that it was going to be impossible for the United States and the Soviet Union to come to any kind of agreement, okay? Kennan proposed that the United States be patient but firm and vigilant with containment of Russian expansive tendencies. The U.S. policy of containment, what this was all about, was the idea to contain, to keep communism inside of its present borders. So, whenever the United States saw or believed that the Soviet Union was trying to extend its reach of communism, they were going to use diplomacy, economics, or even military actions to try to keep communism contained. Okay? All right, so here are some images to reinforce that idea of containment. This reads red octopus. The octopus symbolizes You see this star, the Soviet Union. And this is what we don't want to happen. We, being the United States of America in the 1940s and 1950s, we did not want the tentacles of communism to touch other parts of the globe.